It's really interesting how when Tom Sandoval explodes and loses it and gets angry, it's not followed up with a lecture from someone on how he should just really let it go and move on for his sake, for his own healing. He can just explode and everyone else is supposed to let it go. Like Scheana. Like Sheena's like, there's no point in being upset. I'm just going to let it go. Ariana, maybe you should consider forgiving Tom for everything. It just, you know, Ariana explains it perfectly. Male rage, acceptable. Female rage? No, don't do that. Are you okay? You get that a lot. Are you okay? Just really angry. Yeah, she's angry. She is. And notice the anger is like settling down just a little bit because time has passed. 3 months after an incident occurs that's so intense, she's going to have some residuals still. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard, but Vanderpump is taking a pause. Normally, they would be gearing up to start filming the next season, but they're going to let them live some of their lives and then pick up when they've got some story to tell, which, look, they couldn't, I know that they couldn't, quote unquote, have done that with this past season because we were just so hungry for it. But I honestly think it would have been such a smart flex for production who knows them so well, but I'm sure the network wouldn't have let them. But just to say, look, they're in a weird place right now. There's almost nothing we can capture. There's almost nothing we can, because they don't want to see Tom. They don't want to hang. Let's give it some time. And then we'll regroup. James has moved into his place. Him and Allie can have some stuff going on. Ariana could have moved out the house, whatever. Because they rushed this season. So I'm relieved that they're not going to rush the next season. I think that's the smart way to go. Let everything breathe a little bit, just as a group too. Let everyone settle down a little bit. But the Valley will not be, they will be gearing up to film. Thank God, because I tell you, you cannot take the Valley from me. So excited to see what the group is like with all the divorces, because Jesse's got a girlfriend that he's gone public with, and so has Michelle gone public with her boyfriend. And Brittany unfollowed Jack. What's weird about the Brittany and Jax thing, I don't understand it. They still record their podcast together though. And they'll talk about how they're split up and stuff like on the podcast. So it's a very interesting breakup. So yes, I'd like to have that filmed. I need to see what's actually happening. Anywho, shall we get into this? Okay, let's do it. For those watching, I actually curled my hair today, which is crazy. This is it. This is all I'm doing. It's just recording. I'm not going anywhere. Should I go? I should go somewhere. Ugh, then I have to leave the house and talk to people. I don't know. I'm doing that tomorrow. So maybe not. Anyway, what am I talking about? Emily, get it together. Okay. The opening scene. I've already made some content about this, so I'm going to be a little repetitive if you've already seen that. Katie and Ariana go to something about her. Lisa meets them there. Anne is working, and it starts like the stuff with Lisa my questioning of Lisa starts in the beginning with just the way she's handling Anne. When Ariana introduces her and says she used to work for Tom, but now she works for us, Lisa won't drop it. And as much as, sure, yes, is it a little bit of it's kind of, at this point, I don't even know if it's a slap in the face to Tom, because it's just kind of sad, right? I think. But Lisa won't drop it. She's like, okay, it's also a little bit of a dig to Tom. And they're like, no. I was trying not to make that the situation, but it just turned into that. Okay, sure, yes. I see what you're doing here. That's the vibe Lisa's giving, and she's not letting them off the hook. It almost feels like she's trying to show that they're bad too, or something like that. There's just a tone to it. But then they get into, Lisa asks, so when are you opening? And Ariana makes a face like, oh, don't fucking ask me that question. And I feel like she also knows that Lisa must know all of this already because of Penny. Because as Katie starts to explain, oh, we've got a contractor coming in, they're going to do X, Lisa fills it in. He's going to raise the floor by the drain, and he's going to put wheels on the whatever, lists it. That I didn't like either. It's like, why do you know all that? And why are you listing it back to them? Like they didn't need you to explain to them what they were getting done. But then she goes, and you know how I know this? I've spoken to Penny, and you're not speaking to Penny. And they're like, well, you're missing some pieces. She wanted a salary. She wanted a cut. We submitted it to our lawyer. But Lisa is weird about this because Ariana goes to say, well, as the two sole owners of this, and Lisa goes, yes, but with Penny. And no, Penny is not a partner in this. I don't know where that got misunderstood. I'm actually grateful too, because we've already seen it this season, but the way Penny's taking over, even before this season, just the way Penny immediately took over, it connected Lisa to the project. And I think this is my conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but it feels like Lisa, who was so quick to give them Penny to help, she was doing that as a way of making sure she had some kind of stake or some kind of control in this thing. A lot of it maybe just being as simple as they can't do it without my help type of thing, because she has to always have that role on the show, like mother hen, mother goose kind of a deal. She is so mother goose, actually. Like Lisa's very mother goose-esque. But there's something to her energy, and that I don't know. I don't know what exactly she could be doing here, but it feels like this conversation happens where they say, we gave Penny this offer, 10% or whatever of the profit, whatever it was. And Lisa goes, yes, she said that she'd do that. And they're like, well, not anymore. Now she says she doesn't want that. And so Lisa looks kind of scared, and she's like, wait, are you going to part ways? And they're like, we're figuring that out. And then Lisa's interview bite is really rude. She's like, I just think that, Penny could have helped them get open. I mean, without Penny, I hope they can. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Something tells me that you don't want them to get open without Penny. And now, if you missed it, Vanderpump Rules Party broke this story like a month ago or so, maybe more, about how the trademark for something about her is actually, there's an application, it's pending, that Penny and her husband submitted. They submitted to own the trademark something about her. It has not been approved. I don't know what the status of it is. But what the fuck? I don't know why. It feels like Lisa gave them that idea. And someone on, I think it was Instagram maybe, or TikTok, I can't remember. Someone commented that Penny was on a show, another cooking reality TV show, and said that Penny was actually like the villain of the season. Like she was a nightmare. Like she was the bad guy. And I could totally see it, because you know how I feel about Lisa Vanderpump. And so this whole thing feels icky to me. I can't remember the dates. I don't know exactly when this scene was filmed, but the fact that Penny applied for the fucking trademark, what it's giving is Lisa telling that, like, well, they don't even know what they're doing. Do they even have the trademark yet? You should get the trademark and teach them a lesson. I don't know. I don't know. It just gives me a vibe. And also, why did you expect Penny to be a partner? Why did you expect that? What was that about? Because that row, that like street right there with that section of Robertson, it's Lisa probably fancies it like her, especially if they're going to be filming and something about her, because there's Sir, and then up the road, up that same street that something about her is on, you have to pass it to get up to Santa Monica Boulevard, and that there used to be Pump there, but right around the corner is Tom Tom. So I feel like Lisa got them that location, and in her mind, I feel like she thinks she's slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? Slightly entitled to be a part of it. Even if take out all the Penny stuff, the way she came in, and she always has to have a scene where she's like the mother to them, and they tell her what's going on, and she's like, well, don't forget that, you're going to do something wrong. And if I wasn't here, you were going to. So she always has to have that vibe, that tone, that role. So the girls are correct to say goodbye to Penny. I would say goodbye to her even if she accepts the offer. I'd say, you know what? This is a bad idea, lady. This is not a good plan. Okay. Scheana goes to Kyle Chan's store. And Tom shows up because Tom is acting as like the manager for this live show that Kyle wants to do. You cannot tell me that Kyle Chan wanting to host this like premiere party thing wasn't totally Tom Sandoval's idea. Have it filmed, have everyone need to go to this event, and he's kind of connected to it. So, because Kyle has probably had a million things that he's launched in businesses and whatever, but he's never needed it filmed as like a big group activity. It feels like Tom's like, I can't throw anything because we all saw his sad birthday party, but you could, Kyle. It's like, okay, whatever. Um, Kyle kind of forces Tom and Scheana to talk about what happened. And on the after show, Scheana was like, I was really mad at Tom for those 3 days. But from Friday, when it happened, to Tuesday, when I saw Tom again, I'd kind of been like, you know what? I just don't want to feel this way anymore. And I guess I understand that. I guess sort of. I don't really even know exactly what she's hoping to get from Tom. Is it just to be cordial? Okay. Well, you could have done that without having to have some conversation about how you miss him and stuff. Because I'm like, what do you miss at this point? But I don't think Sheena's very good. This is something about that friend, like Sheena's group of friends, and they have a huge circle of friends. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them don't like each other, but they all just, as Jason would say, they do the cost benefit analysis or whatever he says, about like losing a friend versus having the friend, because it's all about the socializing and whatever. So I feel like it's not uncommon for Scheana to just want to be able to go to any party that ever happens, anytime, anywhere, just in case. So if she's on bad terms with Tom, maybe she'd be on bad terms with Kyle Chan. So in her mind, it's like, oh, let's just like squash it or something. Or maybe it's just as simple as she doesn't want to have drama at this. No, that's not true, because she's determined to prove to Tom that like he misses her as a friend, she misses him, and he should be whatever. It's like I'm getting a little tired of analyzing this same dynamic over and over. But she just says, because Tom's like, with the song, whatever, it was a lot. And she goes, she pulls out the tears. That's the only reason I wasn't going to put this song out last week. Okay. I knew you were going through it. The song was never about you. I mean, I did add that line in. Scheana, you just busted out those tears to try to look. I don't even know why. I don't know why you busted out those tears, girl. But to be like, I didn't even want to put the song out because I knew you were going through it. I'm like, but then you added the lyric, like you didn't have to put it out, But she's like, I was doing the math, and if I didn't put it out now, then it wouldn't have premiered in time for me to perform at Kyle's event or something. And of course she starts crying, talking about how she'll never forget that Tom was there for her and a good friend to her. And Tom's like, yeah, I mean, like, I just don't understand why there has to be like a line in the sand, relationships end bad. Talking about him and Ariana. It's like, yes, but also you did things to other people like Scheana in the process, like lying to Scheana the whole time too, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Like this dynamic, if this is the direction Scheana wants to go with her life and to befriend Tom and forgive Tom, I'm kind of like, go ahead and do it, because we're just going to watch him continue to do shit and you'll forgive him. But then if Ariana is like, I don't want to be around Tom, they're like, I cannot believe Ariana is doing that. So I don't know. She's like, I miss you. Oh. Lala has a birthday. She's got a birthday that she doesn't want Sandoval to go to. So she FaceTimes Sandoval to tell him, you're not invited, just to make that clear. And he's like, yeah, okay, I kind of knew that. But at the party, Scheana talks about the scene she filmed with Sandoval, and the ADR, the audio pickup, is really obvious because I don't know if she actually said it in that moment or not, but they made it seem like she said in that moment, I told him I missed him, because then Ariana makes this face like, ew. And Lala's listening like, yeah, okay, that's great. I love hearing about this, but Ariana is just over it. She's calling him annoying, pathetic. And in her interview, Ariana says, it's not about me. It's about him treating her like shit and not giving a fuck about her. Now, I get that. I get when you have a friend that keeps going after people that treat them shitty. It's like, why do you even want to be their friend? Like, what are you doing? What are you holding on to? This is something about you, Scheana, that you need to work through, because why do you even want to be this guy's friend? For what? Why do you, but if it's just to, well, then even Lala goes, it's just to coexist peacefully in a room together. And I'm like, they did that already. They've been doing that, but she's saying she misses him, Lala. This is a little different for her because Scheana has already said that he was the guy that was there for her, the friend that was there for her, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is not the same as what you're trying to do, Lala. You need to get on the same page a little bit with Scheana because you keep sort of finishing her sentences, but that's not the sentence she was going to finish, you know? Like, if it's just coexisting, I'm like, no, she's saying she misses him. She's saying she wants a friendship with him, and whatever. We get a scene with Ariana and her man, and I'm sure I'm going to be eaten alive because you cannot say one thing about Ariana without it turning into I'm like anti-Ariana. But this is my truth, and the only reason you come to this show is because you want to hear my thoughts on things. So here are my thoughts. I don't get a good vibe. I just don't. Period. He seems really disconnected to me. Maybe he's uncomfortable with the cameras. I don't know. I know people who I view as good judges of character, and they've said good things about Dan. They've said that he's actually really, really cool and sweet, not getting any weird vibes. That's fine. From this scene and from the whole episode that we get with him, I know we're going to get more of him next week. Maybe it was just the cameras, but he's just so unreactive. He doesn't say a lot. And I don't want to be like I'm right there with Lala, but I've already said what Lala said in her interview, which is, why would this guy want to be with someone with this much, like coming to the table with this much? And yes, that is a question for him, because a viewer question on Watch What Happens Live was this very thing. Like, why would he want to get involved with somebody? And she said, that's a question for Dan. You're right. It is a question for Dan. I also think Ariana is a little bit defensive. She's like, we didn't get together 10 days after this all happened. We talked for a little bit and it was slow to build. But as Scheana says in the after show, by April, which was like a month later, you're holding hands on Instagram. So you're hard launching. So that's not a lot of time. But not everyone grieves different. Maybe because she'd been in extensive therapy, maybe she already had all the stuff she needed in order to move on to the next person. Maybe I'm sounding like a judgy little whatever. I just don't get a good vibe from him. And I know people are going to be like, but he seems so great. And he does. He does all these great things for her, not even needing it to be filmed. Like when she was doing Dancing with the Stars. He freaking came out here every other week and was like cleaning up her house, making sure she had food in the fridge and was taken care of. And like, that's incredible. So I'm just being a hater, probably. But this is just my gut instinct. I don't know. But it's a very tense situation for him to be in. So it's probably not fair for me to judge it from that. I just feel like he's already so immersed in her life. I guess I just wanted her to explore being alone a little bit. And that sounded that seemed good. But that's me projecting my own desires onto her, and she says in the after show, he could turn out to be like a fucking scam artist. I will be fine. And ain't that the fucking truth? She will be fine. She's not merged anything with him. It's not like unless I don't know something, it's not like she got the house with him on the title or anything like that. And I'm actually very happy that he's not eager to move here. Because if he was eager to like move here and just live with her and whatever, it'd be like, maybe you're mooching. I think it's commendable that this man will train all day, bartend at night, work 7 days a week to hustle and make his life what he wants it to be. And when she suggests moving to LA, he's like, no. And she's like, well, let's wait till those winter months come and it's freezing. And he's like, well, then we'll just go to Europe. And I'm like, okay, look. So I'm just going off of a weird gut instinct. Maybe I just didn't. Maybe this is me just wanting single Ariana, maybe even talk about maybe hooking up with a woman. I don't know. I was just these are all things I wanted. I am not her. This is her life. It doesn't seem like there's anything unhealthy about it. In fact, it seems very functional. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I don't like how functional it seems. You know me, I'm very toxic, very dysfunctional. So maybe I don't get this. What is this? Bitch, it's a healthy relationship. Oh, okay. I don't know what those look like. So maybe that's what it is. So there's my thoughts. I think Ariana, though, is correct, though. Nothing can happen to her at this point that she couldn't handle. So who am I? Nobody. Oh, I'm not used to having hair in my face like this. I'm like, who is you? Okay, Tom's show. James actually goes to Tom's show to support him at the El Rey. Tom's mom is there too. She seems really uncomfortable with the cameras. But Joe is also there in the crowd. Like suddenly you just see a shot of Joe like behind Tom's mom. I'm like, whoa. And Schwartz pulls Joe outside to talk. And my God, it is so awkward. And then he's awkward. And then what does Schwartz do, which is so typical of Schwartz? He blames the awkwardness and the whatever on everyone else. Everyone else has made this so weird. When you think back to the conversation that they had, he says to her, why are people telling me that you're saying like we are dating like in secret? And she's like, well, okay, so we're not. Like, what are you talking about? But now he's trying to be like, everyone else made it so awkward. I'm like, no. You were not being clear about what you wanted. She was going off of your behavior, assuming that was something that she should go off of. And that was indicating to her that you guys were in a relationship and monogamous. That's on you, sir. Not on everyone else making it weird. Okay. That you said to her, are you telling people that we're like dating secret? Like you were upset at her talking to everybody else, but that's because you weren't being honest. So nice fucking try, buddy. But she's still going to go to San Francisco. So, okay. So they get up to San Francisco and Schwartz does this whole thing about how he's like, I want to move in with you, Tom. And he does this stupid proposal thing. And no one thinks this is a good idea. No one. I mean, this feels almost like it's just for filming. Like it feels like Schwartz was like, well, you know what? We're going to film together. We might as well. But as of now, the house thing is not settled. They're not. I don't think that him and Schwartz are going to be moving in because Ariana has had to sue him to either sell or pay her whatever the amount was. So, and Tom's like, this is in the after show. Tom's like, it could still happen. And Schwartz is like, I don't know. The moment's over. They get on the ferry ride to go look at the bridge, but this is the choppiest waters. Excuse me. Choppiest waters I've ever seen. I would be vomiting. I get such bad, excuse me, tickle in my throat. I get such bad motion seasickness. I probably have told this story 100 times. I went to see Captain Phillips, the movie with Tom Hanks about the pirates taking over the big ship. And the director put the camera like just on the boat that the pirates were coming in on. And so the whole camera was moving as if it was a boat. And the whole room felt like I was on a boat. I had to leave. I was going to throw up. So I could not have handled this ferry ride. I do love James trying to strip on the pole. He's such a kid. And then the way he asked Allie, he's like, do you want to drive the boat? Do you want to drive the boat? Okay, so they get off the fucking ferry. Why does Brock feel the need to talk to Ariana about Tom? I mean, I know what his motivations are, but I'm going to go through what he says. He asks if he's like, how was it being on the boat? And she's like, he's just scenery at this point. Like, I don't even pay him any mind. So he goes, do you see like maybe in the future any sort of like friendship? And then she picks up on what's happening. She goes, for whose benefit? And he says, well, I mean, like if I'm being honest, my wife's. And Ariana goes, the person who I care about more than anything, who he screamed at less than a week ago. Yeah, sorry. I care more about her than to allow her to have people in her life that scream at her like that. Brock's like, well, yeah, that's a good point. Because it goes back to what I said at the top of the show. Why can Tom yell and scream, but no one's like, Tom, my God, like, get over it. Like, stop it already. Jesus. But when Ariana does it, it's like, let's all have a conversation with her about letting things go. She's not causing a scene right now. She's just doing her thing. But you want to make sure that if Scheana wants to forgive and move on and be friends with Sandoval, that Ariana won't cut her out. But are you not realizing, like, but Tom is not someone that you should want your wife to be friends with? That's the point. And he's got nothing there, right? And so Brock fucking mansplains forgiveness. He's like, forgiveness isn't accepting what he's done. Forgiveness is giving yourself the ability to focus on the good things you have going on around you. That is mansplaining to a T. Like, that is a perfect example of mansplaining. Yeah, dude, we fucking know what forgiveness is, and we know about focusing on the good. Okay, it's giving me what Lala is trying to do to Katie. Like, you're just so miserable. It's like, no, she's reacting to something that would make her upset. But in general, she's not a miserable person. So, but don't worry, because Ariana, she's so ready for this. She goes, absolutely. But in order to move on and focus on the good, you 100% do not have to forgive anyone who traumatized you. You can just be like, fuck off. And then in her confessional, she talks about gray rocking, which I think I've talked about here on the pod too, because I employed the gray rocking technique for my mom. It took a minute, but the reason why, okay, she's doing full no contact. It's not exactly gray rocking. So gray rocking is a little different. I'm glad we're talking about this, Emily. I'm choosing to talk about it. Okay. When you have someone in your life that has narcissistic tendencies, and you were what they call the narcissistic supply. So that's what I was for my mom for pretty much my whole life. I was like I would praise, I would say you're doing so good, I would comfort, I would indulge a lot of things that I should have put boundaries up about and been like, I don't like that. So when I realized what the dynamic was, I learned that if you suddenly just stop talking to somebody that you have that dynamic with, it's almost as aggressive as yelling at them, because then you'll get why aren't you fucking talking to me? What the fuck are you not going to say anything? So it's almost more aggressive. Gray rocking is the act of being as boring as a gray rock. And a gray rock, you ain't going to look at it twice. You're just going to walk right by it, right? So what you do is when they send you the text message with the whatever, like the whole stuff that they do, you just reply like, sounds good, or okay, but no emojis, nothing really, no emotion, basically. And eventually they get bored. And if they ask, why, you're being weird, you're being you don't have to even respond to that. So if you need to employ this tactic, I recommend checking out Dr. Ramani. Look up her channel. Let me actually put link Dr. Ramani. I talk about her all the time. She truly changed my life, her videos, but her entire channel is about narcissism, dealing with narcissists, whether they be parents, loved ones, or like lovers, husbands, wives, whatever. She's amazing, because she was a therapist, and she realized, she's like, every fucking client I had was dealing with the narcissist. It seemed like 90% of my clients. So she's like, narcissists are everywhere. We just don't know. We've gotten very used to dealing with narcissists that we don't realize like this is on them. Narcissists are very tricky to deal with. Like when you're dealing with a narcissist, woo, so it's loaded. It's very difficult, and you never confront a narcissist. It just activates them, and it gives them a chance to say even meaner stuff than they've ever said before. So it's like, you don't confront a narcissist and say, I'm not talking to you anymore, because then they will go off. It's useless. And then you're never going to get a productive conversation out of it. Okay, back to this. Sorry. Ariana says there's power to hurt and anger and in female emotions, and being able to have that and not being put in the position of you have to always take the high road or be stoic or be strong at every moment in order to have power. I think there's power in all of those emotions, and I stand by that. And Brock's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I can't really comment, because she said something about like as a woman. And And he's like, I can't really comment, I guess, because I'm not a woman. And she goes, yeah, well, everyone's fine with male rage, but female rage, that they're not okay with that. And Brock's like, well, give me an example of male rage. I'm like, okay, did you, what Tom did to your wife? What Tom did to your wife just the other day? Like, come on now. Also, you also were yelling at your wife earlier in the party, like just a few minutes prior, about how you wanted to stay out longer and not go home. All right, they get back to the hotel and Lala comes to Ariana's room. Ariana's like, I haven't started getting ready yet, but she's like, Dan ironed all my clothes and he put his Celsius on ice for me. And just like, it's maybe that's what I'm like, this fucking dream guy. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. He probably is just this nice. But Dan is not going to dinner. He's going with Brad to dinner or to the 20s thing. And Lala asks him, she's like, how was it? And he's just giving nothing. Like when she's like, how was it on the van? He's like, nothing, whatever. I'm like, God, you're riveting. But Lala asks, what would you do if Tom came up to you? And this is his answer. He goes, well, he hasn't done anything to me, but I know what he's done. And then there's just like this long pause. And then Lala goes, you have a nice body. Good for you. And he's like, oh, thanks. But I'm like, that's it. What were we going to do? Did you answer the question? Maybe he just is that unbothered. He just seems kind of boring, a little dull to me. Okay, so Brock wants them dressed in like 20s gangsters. And I'm right there with Andy Cohen when he talks about how, I think he made a joke like about how 20s themed parties in Bravo need to take a break. I'm like, we've done this so many times. Here's the worst part though. Ariana and Tom are wearing the same shoes. Damn it. She says it on Watch What Happens Live. She's like, yeah, that was a little awkward. That wasn't my favorite. That wasn't my favorite thing in the world. But Katie and Ariana are off to the side, and Schwartz comes over and like weasels his way in, like basically it's like, okay, let me talk to my ex-wife. And then this man proposes the most Schwartz thing ever. It's so selfish. Once again, he wants to give her nothing. He wants her to come back to his hotel. They order a bunch of junk food and they just sit and scroll next to each other and say nothing. She's like, I'm sorry, that's what a relationship is, dude. You don't get to have all the perks of a relationship without actually being a good partner. Okay. You just invited her to sit in your room when she could do the same fucking thing in her room. It's classic. It's classic. She doesn't want to be your friend. I'm so sorry to tell you that, but she just doesn't want it. Okay. They're cool now, but she doesn't really let him into her life, Tom pulls Scheana to talk. Now he tries to be like the good guy and be like, I'm not going to be around all day tomorrow. So if Dan wanted to, I don't know exactly what he was saying. Dan wanted to like join the group, maybe do a group activity. That would be cool. But Scheana goes, how do you feel about all that? And Tom's like, I'm just happy she found someone because I was always really worried about her mental state, if we did break up because of what she said about it. Now, I'm not going to take this away from Scheana. I think Scheana thought, because this is what Scheana thinks, this goes back to what I said many episodes ago. Scheana fancies herself the guy whisperer. So here she is guy whispering to him, saying, I do think that maybe you should apologize for weaponizing her mental health and sharing things that she maybe didn't want shared publicly. And she can see Tom being like, well, but, and she goes, just don't say anything. Please don't. I don't even want you to respond, but just think about what I'm saying. And she does this whole speech about how all Ariana wanted was to make it work. And Tom is like, he's like, I'm not fucking doing shit for this woman. But then he actually does say in his interview, this is in theory, right? He says in his interview that no matter what happened in the relationship, she didn't deserve that. Now let's fast forward to real time. He continued to talk shit about her in public. And at BravoCon, he was like, he even said something right there, BravoCon. Like, he wasn't changing. He didn't take this in and absorb it. Like, this is all for show. I go back to that. Like, he knows what to say on camera. He knows how to appear like the good guy. So I don't buy this. And Sheena's putting him in a position where it's on camera and he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, he still can't even admit, like, you should not have said, she said she would fucking kill herself. You can't say that. You can't say that, you know? So, whatever. But Tom and Scheana end the conversation with this long hug with tears. I love you, the whole thing. So, yeah. I don't know what is about to happen at this finale. I'm excited to see it. Looks like a ton of fourth wall breaking. We've heard that too. It's just like there is no fourth wall. It's like the producers become a part of the show. In that last episode. So let's see what it is. Also, I can't wait to see what Lala is saying that we're going to see about, I'm assuming, Ariana and maybe even Katie too, and see about them to like understand her feelings or something. Because we've heard that before from people, right? We've heard like, oh, when you see the show, you're going to see why. And then we see it and we're like, did they cut the thing? Did they cut some parts that we don't get? Because I'm like, I don't see it. I have been so naughty with what I put in my body the last few weeks, so I need to get back on a healthier track with my nutrition. So Hungry Root, for me, is the easiest way to do that. The selection of food that they have, yes, they will send you high-quality groceries. They'll send you simple recipes, so all the stuff that you need to make delicious meals. They also can send you supplements if you need them. But what I love the most is that they introduce me to brands that I'd never heard of, brands that make food I like to eat, but healthy, like no real sugar, but maybe some monk fruit, which doesn't sound good. But honestly, I have tried some amazing healthy desserts and snacks through Hungry Root. So here's how you do it. You take a fun short quiz and Hungry Root will get to know you and what your goals are, what you like to eat, stuff like that. They build a personalized cart for you every week, but I like to just clear the cart and shop the aisles because it's a lot of fun. I like their site. I like the way it's set up and I like all the options. You also have to build up to enough credits because you get a certain allotted amount of credits depending on the plan you choose. And you have to, when you clear the cart, hit that number. It's like a game to me. I don't know. I really enjoy it. But you get to pick from meat, seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, ready-to-eat meals, kid snacks, vitamins, supplements. I always just get snacks on snacks on snacks, healthy versions of what I like to binge on, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't like to cook, so I just get those ready-made meals, or I search for meals that are done and ready in like under 5 minutes. Everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, it's got to be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungry Root is offering She's Speaking with Emily Hanks listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/shespeaks to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/shespeaks. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. All right, on Watch What Happens Live, Katie and Ariana were on Watch What Happens Live. These are the key points that I thought were interesting. It was a good show. It was cute. Ariana has not watched the whole season. I could tell Andy is irritated by that. Andy's like, I really wish you would watch the damn thing before we did the reunion. But she does explain it very well. She goes, look, I got my dream job, and the last thing I wanted was to be screwing up because I was upset about something I saw on the show. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Honestly, it's almost like she had to not pay any attention to what was happening. I mean, I'm sure she paid a little attention, but it makes sense because they do so many freaking shows. You're always on. And so it makes sense that she did that, actually. And Andy goes, oh, well, good for you. How fun for you, or something like that. But of the things she has seen from the show, there were a few comments that Scheana made in her confessionals and whatever that did affect her. And one of them that stood out was the backup dancer comment. And that's when Andy's like, I wish you had watched this before the reunion because you could have mentioned that. They did announce a big announcement. May 22nd, they are opening something about her. They don't know why Lala unfollowed them. They seem very unbothered, and they seem like, I wonder if they kind of feel like this is just promo for the show. I wonder if they're like, I think she's just trying to get some traction PR for the show. Maybe that could be, because they don't seem concerned about it at all, at all, at all. And they've been doing this a long time. So maybe that's what they're thinking is going on. Because, we all know you unfollow someone, the sleuths are going to find out almost immediately. It's crazy how do people find that out so fast? Like, how does that happen? Do people have is there like an app that you can get, like an attachment on Instagram that shows you like when someone unfollows someone? Because I swear people find that shit so fast. Someone asked if she eviscerated Lala or if that rumor was true, and Ariana says that she did not eviscerate anyone. And then both her and Katie are like, I don't think really anyone was eviscerated. So we might have just got some fake news on that part. Okay, after show. I feel like a lot of the same stuff was said, honestly, and I cannot listen to Tom Sandoval talk about his girlfriend. And when Schwartz goes, I saw the roses, and Sandoval goes, yeah, did you like that? That was good, right? Ugh. It's like, you're so performative. Of course you post you getting her roses. You know what I mean? Of course. Like, it's like, you need that on record. Look what I do, all these nice things I do. Love bombing. Jax and Tom at one point say to Schwartz that they don't like the way Katie talks to him. It's always like she's making jabs at you. I don't like it. It annoys me. She don't give a fuck. She's not his friend. And the couch comment was savage, yes, but she also was not his friend at the time. She had decided we ain't cool. So I don't care what you guys have to say about that. But the big thing is Brock speaks with way too much authority on something about her. Again, he does the same comparison that Lala. This just gives away that Lala, Scheana, and Brock just talk shit about Katie and Ariana all the time, because he compares the dynamic between the Toms when they're trying to get Schwartz and Sandy's open to the dynamic between Katie and Ariana trying to get something about her open. I'm like, yeah, we already heard Lala say this, but I don't agree, because I don't agree. I just don't. The only reason they're not open was because of a permitting thing. And I know now I'm going real deep with my conspiracy. What if Lisa was doing that? Like, what if I feel like Lisa has an in with all sorts of people in the restaurant industry, and I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if she was contacting the health inspectors, like, you need to double check this and that. I don't know. That's definitely a conspiracy, and that may just me being crazy. But, But Brock brings up the trademark issue. Again, Vanderpump Rules Party, they're the ones who originally broke this story. They were a little upset. I posted about this, and they were like, we're the ones who broke this story we're the ones who did it originally. Now it's being spread everywhere. And I'm like, okay, they are the ones who broke the story, guys. So they did it. But Brock brings up this trademark thing like it's bad on Ariana and Katie. To me, it would just seem shady about like the Penny. To me, it's very clear, like, Penny, why the fuck did you do that? I don't know what he's trying. The tone he has is like, and now they own they don't even own the trademark to that. Like, what's happening with something about her? I know that they're trying to get a contract with this woman, so something's happening. I'm like, okay, well, they're opening on May 22nd, and if anything, it makes Penny look like a shady bitch. I don't know why you're insinuating that that Katie and Ariana they're doing something weird. Yes, it's weird that the trademark, that is weird when you don't have any context. And I'm sure it's a fucking problem. Okay. I'm sure it's a major problem behind the scenes. And I feel like Lisa had something to do with it. I really do. I really do. And Brock goes, they need to change that name real quick. Once Upon a Tom. No. Brock, I don't ever need him in an after show again. I really fucking don't. Honestly. The season has changed. It's getting warmer, so it's time for warm weather clothing. And as you know, I have no clothing, so I need all the wardrobe essentials for every season. So I'm loving Quince because Quince has got timeless summer dresses. They've got this European linen dress that I've got my eye on, a little spaghetti strap. So simple, so fabulous. But the thing is, Quince is all priced 50 to 80% lower than similar brands, which is why it's perfect for someone like me who needs all the things. They've got blouses and shorts from $30. They have washable silk tops. They have 14-karat gold jewelry and so much more. The reason Quince items are priced so low is because they partner directly with factories. So they pass those savings on to us by cutting out the middleman, which is very nice of them. And here's the thing, this is very important. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. We love that. I have a purse from there that became my entire personality for a month. I still wear the yoga pants that I got like a year ago. They're not see-through and they haven't gotten that weird pilling in between the thighs that I was getting from the other more expensive yoga pants that I was always buying. I got my eye on that summer dress. I think I'm going to buy that today, actually. So get warm weather ready with Quince. Go to quince.com/shespeaks for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/shespeaks to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/shespeaks. It is starting to get hot out, and you know what that means. Sweat and body odor. I don't like body odor. I know I have preached to you guys repeatedly about Lumi, but I've been preaching about Lumi since I worked in the restaurant business, way before I had a podcast. I had an odor down in the bikini area that worried me. I'd never smelled that smell before. I did some Google searching and then got a targeted ad due to my search words, and it said whole body deodorant created by an OBGYN. I said, whole body? OBGYN? And that's right. This OBGYN who created Lumi was tired of women coming in and blaming the vagina for any odors down in that bikini area because she realized we just get body odor just like you do under your arms. So she created a product, Lumi. Lumi is baking soda free, it's paraben free, it's pH balanced for safe use below the belt, and it will protect you against odor for up to 72 hours, which is a long time. I really hope you shower in that time frame, but if you needed it, it's got you. And I would test that Lumi out. Work in a restaurant shift, you run around, you are sweating, you are gross, no smell. I smelled like toasted coconut, which was my go-to scent. They've got a variety of scents, but I love clean tangerine and toasted coconut. Those are my faves. I also use the body wash and no other body wash. I don't care how funky I am going into that shower. I come out smelling like a clean tangerine. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. So it comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes. And you also get free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off your starter pack. Use code SHESPEAKS for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code SHESPEAKS at LUMEDEODORANT.com. Okay, let's do the valley now. Let's go to the valley and that absolute delicious mess. They are coming off of the fight, and they even said, they're like, everyone is like, no, Jesse would never say the divorce word. He's like, that's not even in my vocabulary. And he says something in his confessional that's very telling. He's like, in the old days, you didn't get divorced. And I'm like, oh, you're that guy. You're like the, hey, I don't care. I'll be miserable forever. You make it work. It's like, no, you have to work when you're in the relationship too. And if it doesn't, then you do get divorced. That's what's happening. In the old days, people stayed together and they were miserable. But wouldn't Jesse be like that? Blindly, like, that's what we do, whatever. But these guys, Jesse and Michelle, they have the nerve to say it's either Kristen or us. And Janet is way too excited for that. Janet has already tried to out Kristen. She's like, she's already not invited to my event, so that's fine. They're like, okay, cool. Got it. Like, Jesse goes, can we all agree that Kristen doesn't need to be part of this group? I'm like, no, it's just... And Kristen went on her podcast. I think I might have already talked about this, but Kristen went on her podcast and said that in reality television on a TV show, when you try to ice someone out, it only makes them more relevant and the audience tends to side with them. And she gives the example of what they did with Scheana their first season. Like before they started filming, they were like, let's just not film with Scheana and then she won't be on the show. But they're like, joke's on us because the show was like built kind of like transitioned with her as the main story point. And so that is kind of what's happening. Okay, but the next day, Jesse and Michelle brings Jesse some smoothies or whatever, and they talk in the kitchen. And Jesse tries to say that this whole thing with Kristen is actually, it's bringing us closer. And Michelle's face is like, yes. She kind of said that too, but she's not anymore. But then Jesse does say that what Kristen said about the whole protecting thing, that's gotten in his head. He's like, I can't help it. And the face Michelle's making is like the face she's trying not to make a face. Like she's like, don't, Like her face is so tense. She's like, don't move a muscle. Don't flinch. And Jesse talks about the stuff he notices. He's like, she used to get mad at me when I would put my phone down, face down. She'd say, what are you hiding? Now she does that. She used to, whenever she went with friends, she would post a boomerang. And that's so millennial, isn't it? That she'd post a boomerang of like her getting drinks with the girls. Now she never does that. She claims she's taking a social media break. But of course, it's making him think, well, is she just not going out with girlfriends and she's with someone else? I'm like, well, that's kind of fair to wonder. So they're not doing great, but obviously we know now they're not together anymore. Over to Messy Pants Janet. She talks to Jason. They're at home. She talks to Jason. And she's like, I'm still shaken over last night. Jasmine told me Jax knows what Kristen meant by this protection comment. This is what I think happened. Michelle confided in Brittany and Kristen. Now one of them has told Jax, and Jax ended up telling Jasmine. And Jason is like this practical guy. He goes, okay, but wait, what do you and Jasmine have to do with any of this at all? And she goes, the telephone game has begun. I shouldn't know it exists, and Jasmine shouldn't know what the secret is. Jack should know better than to spread a rumor about someone's marriage. Just the other day, Scheana called me and said Katie saw a rumor about Jack's cheating online. And then they splice in the shot from Vanderpump Rules of Katie saying that. And it's just so meta. I hope next season, Vanderpump splices in some of the Valley. I just like having these two shows that they can pull footage from. I love it. It's so meta. It's like just a big community, big world, Love it. And then she goes, how would Jax and Brittany feel if we didn't go to her and say, hey, Britt, there's a bullshit rumor going on online. If I just went to Jasmine last night and was like, hey, I heard this rumor, like, well, you're practically doing all that, Janet. And then in her fucking confessional, she goes, Jax is a real big talker when it comes to other people's situations and drama. And it almost does feel like, is it a flashbang that police throw to distract you over here and make you disoriented so that you can't remember what's really happening over here? I think he should be prioritizing his marriage and not talking behind people's backs. Okay, well, you're actually doing that exact thing. You're actually doing that exact thing. Whether you like it or not, alluding to things or saying you shouldn't know, whatever, you're doing the same thing. And you also desperately wanted to know what Jasmine knew. You were trying to get her to go ask, let's go ask Brittany. So I don't want to hear, she's acting very like high and mighty about this, but I'm on Jax's side here. He's like, bitch, you do the same thing. He didn't say bitch, just to be clear. But Jason he's over this. He says that she quit her full-time job when she got pregnant, but now her new full-time job is gossiping, and he hates it. And so he's not on board with this. These two go over to Jax and Brittany's just so she can bring it up. Brittany's eye is all fucked up too. She wonders if maybe she got scratched in all the madness from before. And I'm like, oh, you might have, girl, because you were right in there. But Janet cannot wait. She goes, well, I was talking to Jasmine last night and she said that Jax told her He knows what the protection comment is about, and he told me what it is. Brittany's doing a good job acting like she has no idea what this is about. She's just playing along really well. And no, what did you say? And then Janet goes, well, she also told me that you know too, Brittany. And Brittany just goes, yeah, but I'm not like Kristen. I don't talk about my friend's business. I'm like, oh, girl, you ride or die. Like, that's ride or die that she put on this whole performance. Like, what? What do you know? Well, you don't know anything. Oh, and then I thought you knew too, Brittany. Well, okay, yes, I do. I actually do fucking know, but I don't like to talk about it. Okay, girl, that's dedication right there. But Jason he does come in. He's like, Jax, you did kind of like hop on the Kristen train here with like telling Jasmine. And Jax is like, it's this protecting thing. Everyone is asking me what that means. I do know what that means, but it's not my place to say. I don't even know if it's true. You already told someone else, Jax. You already told Jasmine. It's not my place to say, guys. I can't say. Oh, that you already said. You already did it. God, but then I'm sorry. This is funny. Jax's confessional. He's like, don't Janet acting like she wouldn't do the exact same thing is ridiculous. But then he goes, I think I'm losing my touch a little bit. It was such an easy project. Jasmine, just go figure out what Michelle's texting and then come back and tell me so I don't have to do it myself. And then I will drop the bomb. I'm like, I'm sorry. But the fact that he knows that that's the tactic, the fact that he knows like that I'll do it. I don't mind. But like, and because I know how to make a TV show. But like, I didn't want to have to go ask Michelle because I can't do that. I can't go ask Michelle. She's not going to tell me. Jasmine, you fucked up. Jasmine, he tested you and you failed. He is never going to come. He's not going to be using you again. And that sucks because like it could be fun. If you know what you're doing, like ruining people's lives, you know, if you know you're doing that, then it could be fun. But Jasmine's like, I actually have a conscience, so I'm not going to do that. He's like, damn it, I picked the wrong one. Next time I should have picked Janet. Brittany goes, Jax can't help himself but to gossip. And then Janet, with all of the uppityness, she goes, it needs to stop. You've now filmed 2 additional scenes about this. You don't see Nia and Danny talking about it. You know, they're just like, what could it be? But you're like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this on camera right now. Like she was expecting Jax to tell her right then and there. That's what Janet was expecting. Janet was like, Jax, how could you? You told Jasmine. Jasmine knows. What could it possibly be? Tell me now. Tell me. Nia has a call with a postpartum therapist, and her journey with this is so raw and real, and I think she's going to be helping a ton of people. The amazing account, Bravo, Bravo, Ducking Bravo, pointed out, though, that after this whole thing about how resources for postpartum are very hard to find, Bravo could have at least threw up a resource. You know how if you or someone you know are struggling from postpartum, here's a hotline, here's a site, here's something you could do. They're like, no, we don't. Oh, yeah, shit. Too late. They didn't think that through at all. Brittany and Jax go to this like sex therapy type meditation-y thing or whatever. But it was just sad. I gotta say, it's sad. Jax is doing this. The 2 confessionals are what's so sad is Jax is doing this whole bullshit monologue about how he hopes he can just be the man she fell in love with or whatever. But then they immediately cut over to Brittany, who says Jax likes to put on a front that everything is better than it really is. And it's just not. And that's what we just watched. We just watched this whole confessional monologue about how I just want to be the man that she wants, you know? I just want to be that guy. And Brittany's like, nope. She goes, I know he doesn't respect me anymore. And that's terrible. And then they do this whole soul gazing thing or whatever. And it's really sad after because Brittany can't even look him in the eye. She's just like looking down. And the lady goes, how did that feel? Did you guys feel more connected? And Brittany can't even look at Jack. She's like, yeah, no, it felt good. Felt good. There's so much intention in these lines. Watching marriages, this is what the theme of this season is. Watching these marriages end, like be in their last legs. Oh, I see why they make like indie movies just about married couples and the dynamics in marriages because there's so many layers to it and it's fascinating to watch. It's sad, but it's fascinating at the same time. Right? Is that just me? Am I sick? Um, Jason, Jax, and Luke go bowling. And the plan is tell Luke that we're mad at Kristen. And the group is mad at Kristen. Jason has his funny soundbite though, because he's like, yeah, I want to talk to Luke, because it kind of seems like he's like going along for the ride. And like, you don't need to be, that you don't need to be like Bonnie and Clyde. And Clyde could have actually told Bonnie not to rob that bank. Clyde could say, hey, Bonnie, let's just go be nice to everybody and not spread rumors. It seems like Luke is participating in the bank heist. Now, Luke comes from a very fair angle, which is, why is anyone backing Jesse after what happened last night? But I think coming from Jason, I feel like you listen more, because coming from Jax, you're like, shut up, dude. But coming from Jason, you're going to hear it. And Jason goes, well, look, Jesse and his family have been under attack by your girlfriend for the last month. Can you sort of see that? Jax tries to come in. He's like, Kristen is a known liar. Luke's like, didn't you describe yourself as a pathological liar? Jax is like, oh, that was 10 years ago. And then he goes into a speech about how he's grown up. And they use footage from his Vanderpump Rules segment to splice in here to drag him. To just show how this is the speech that Jax gives. I've grown up. I've got a business. I've got a house, whatever. I love it. Keep doing this, guys. I love having two shows to drag Jax with. Excuse me. Jax goes, every single one of Kristen's exes says that she's a compulsive liar. And he goes, I'm not mad at you, but you need to understand everyone is done with her. And Luke actually kind of softens. He goes, I am not defending Luke, but I do actually understand him being triggered, because, he sees that Kristen is coming for his family. So I was like, oh, this guy, maybe you got a good head on your shoulders after all, sir. Nia and Danny get dinner with Jesse and Michelle. And I mean, I was nervous because I know that Nia and Danny like love each other, and Michelle and Jesse hate each other. And sure enough, you see it right away. They get drinks, they cheers. Nia and Danny kiss. Michelle and Jesse just watch like, what are you guys doing? And Jesse goes, yeah, she's looking at me like, do not even think about kissing me. And they're like, oh, it's just what we do. We've always done it. We have to cheers and then kiss. And they're like, oh, that's cute. But Michelle and Jesse, they're trying to go off about Kristen. And Nia can't even handle it. She literally is crying. She's like, do you see me right now? I'm at my capacity. I don't have it in me to like take this on. And they're like, well, fuck, that's kind of what we were going to talk about. What they did also talk about, though, is Danny and Nia are looking to move. They need a bigger place. And he really wants them to move to Santa Clarita. And my very good friend, John, who you've seen me post content with him, and I've talked about him before. He's from Santa Clarita. I would text him like, I cannot wait for you to watch this episode. You're going to die. But they joke like, no one knows where Santa Clarita is. John's like, I will not take this slander. But it's true. Honestly, Santa Clarita's far. Meanwhile, Janet and Jason watch Cruise so that Brittany and Jax can have a date night at the Mondrian. Ugh, that doesn't go well. But before we get to that, Luke talks to Kristen. It's right away I can tell this isn't going to go well. Right away I could tell it's not going to be good. Because he tells Kristen, like, hey, do that. She's like getting herself something to drink. Do that and then sit down. We need to talk. And she's like, whoa, feels like a bomb drop. Feels heavy. I'm like, girl, she's impossible to get through to. Luke, it's like in this conversation, Luke realizes, oh my God, what have I done here? He tells her that the group is afraid of the things that come out of her mouth when you're triggered that aren't true. And he goes, this thing about Jesse wanting a divorce in the next 2 months. He goes, I never said that to you. And she goes, you said he's planning on leaving Michelle in the next 2 months. And he's like, no, that is not at all what I said. I said that he doesn't see it lasting past 2 months. And then she just goes, okay. Almost like, got it. Okay, got it. And she goes, I agree. End of story. And Luke goes, you follow that? Because you change one word and it can change the whole meaning. And Kristen just goes, words are hard. Luke goes, okay, how do you feel? And so she gets the tears going. She goes, I accept that the way I heard something and the way I repeated it may not be correct. And I'm not doing a but whatever. However, they know exactly what they're fucking doing. When you're terrified about skeletons that you have, all you got to do is Luke's like, no, you can't talk about that. And then she revs up, let's bring the guy that Michelle. And he's like, stop talking about other people's skeletons. Just own it. Just say, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Kristen, back to the tears. I feel like that's what I always say. He goes, no, you literally say, I'm sorry, but that's not taking complete ownership of it. Kristen, she is actually impossible to get through to, and it is a little bit scary. And he goes, if we're going to move forward, that's something that can't keep happening. And she's like, in her confessional, don't do this to me right now. Don't say if. He's like, bitch, I'm sorry. I'm Team Luke. If Luke leaves you right after this, I don't blame him. My God, woman. So Luke tries so hard. He goes, do you agree that you do that sometimes? And Kristen just goes, yes. Long pause. And then Kristen goes, so I think we've nipped this in the bud. Luke's interview, he's like, Kristen, you are not having a conversation with me. It needs to be back and forth, not just say, I hear you. So he's like, you're putting me in a bad spot, Kristen. You're doubling down. He goes, this is not the Kristen I know. This is not the Kristen I fell in love with. I'm like, oh. Luke goes, we have to talk about progress. And Kristen just goes, okay, let's just get through it. We can do this. Luke, the camera angle on this is so interesting because then Luke comes into full frame and she's like in the, like out of focus behind him. And he's just like, oh my God. He's probably looking at the camera like, what do I do? What? Looking at the camera like, fuck, save me, help me. They're like, we know. We have to produce her. We know. And she's just like, nothing I can do. It's kind of scary. Okay, so Brittany and Jax's night, no shocker, turns into a fucking disaster where Jax is like, we should not be having another kid right now because Cruz, we need to put all of our focus on Cruz. We cannot take our eyes off Cruz right now with his nonverbal stuff. And Brittany gets upset because she's like, we said we were about to start trying, or we've been trying, or whatever. And she's like, I don't like that you try to say, I don't pay Cruz attention or whatever. And he's like, that's not what I'm saying. My God, you're deflecting. That's actually not what deflecting is, but that's okay. But he does this all the time. He tries to paint Brittany as irresponsible. Like he is the sole breadwinner of the family and he's provided everything. He's like, I like to plan and I'm a planner. And Brittany goes, but you don't even do anything. I take care of everything. And Jax is like, that is a slap in the face. Do you not see the house we live in? Do you think that just came out of nowhere? And Brittany goes, I think that we both got the house together. We put in the same amount of money. And then Jax just walks out. But that thing that she just said, that's important. Pay attention. Why do you hold things over her head like she's been this total fuck up and you've just been carrying the weight of that? She's like, no, I also put money down for the house. We got the house. Don't you guys remember right after they got the house, he had a big tax lien against him? So fuck you. She's like, I'm not the problem. You're the problem, but you're trying to make me the problem. I'm actually pretty surprised at how Brittany has a pretty good, I guess, grasp on what's happening. Cause she says that like he's trying to make it seem like I've done something wrong when I know I haven't. And it's easy to fall victim to, it's easy to believe the shit they tell you, right? It's easy to be like, I guess I am. No, she's like, I'm not the fucking problem. So thank God they're not together anymore, huh? Am I right? Okay, that wraps it up, guys. All right, I love you guys, mean it, and I will see you soon. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.